our next speaker will be the first keynote speaker for these 2 days. I'm going to introduce, and rather, sorry, I've got my little notes here, the bio to get this accurate for Estelle Hope. So her keynote today is called Finding My Voice Through Art. Estelle Hope is a speaker, a singer, a songwriter, a visual artist, teacher, and transformational educator with a passion for sparking conversation and social change, utilizing the arts. Estelle invites us through her work to connect with our future selves, with hope to create a life we love by accessing the principles of creation. Her art and video clips celebrate the beauty and the vibrant nature of her environment while speaking to issues that affect women. Estelle joins from living in Townsville with her husband and 3 children, and her Instagram, website, and other links will be available for you through there. This will also be, in part, keynote speech and then guided cool activity, which I won't tell you too much about. I'll let Estelle do that first. For this activity, and this might be a good time if you've got it in arm's reach. Otherwise, there will be some time later to gather some basic materials. After the keynote speech, which will go for about 25 minutes, there will be a 10-minute activity. Now, this will be quite fun, actually. You will need a pen and a piece of paper. So those basic tools will be something that we'll do. So you'll need them accessible so we can basically go through the guided video that will show us what we're going to do. I've just got just word that Estelle will be joining us just momentarily. So I'll just wait for her to pop up there. And what we'll be doing is I'll be handing over to her to go through her own slides today, which she's prepared for us. I've had the opportunity and the privilege to have a look at this already, and I also watched Estelle's TEDx talk from Burley Heads, and it's called "Art is Oxygen." And my wife and I, Serene, her name is, we watched this yesterday, and if you've got a spare 10 minutes, please, especially if you resonate deeply with what Estelle will share, to have a look at that. It was something that really spoke to me in my personal lived experience, because I too have found a lot of solace and a lot of meaning in journaling, intuitive drawing, other modalities or techniques like geometry, just for mindful awareness, and struggling with major depressive disorder and other bits and pieces. It's been a struggle, and I found that art has been an outlet for me as well. So Estelle's will go one step further in saying that we are all creatives, and that whole I'm no good at painting, drawing, speaking, whatever it is, because you are creating with every word, every action that you take in this world. And we're painting our own canvas, which is our life, but you'll articulate that kind of stuff beautifully, I'm sure. So just waiting for Estelle. There she is.
Hello. Hey, Ben.
Hello. How you doing today?
Yeah, great. Thank you for that beautiful introduction. I just love that I'm preaching to the choir already. It's
Sure.
awesome. And I just have to say, what a powerful start to the day. Like, Tess, my goodness, that was just so sobering, but just so inspiring at the same time. So I just wanted to acknowledge that and just say I'm really happy to be with you all today. I think there's something really magical about what we're going to do over the next 2 days. There's just something really powerful about sharing all these different perspectives. And I can see this already just hearing Tessa's story and your story, Ben. It's just really powerful. So I think we're going to be really impacted by this. So I'm just really grateful to have this opportunity to hold this space, and be a part of this. I've got, these are my slides here, and my first quote here really speaks to this. I think it's so important and healing, like I said, to share these different perspectives. And I think that when things are spoken out loud and we find the words we've suppressed for so long, it moves us towards healing and wholeness, and it gives us a chance to find the way forward. So personally, art helped me to find my voice and the words I needed to break through and come out of a really dark place. So that's what I'm looking forward to sharing with you today. So, Ben, do you just want me to jump straight into my presentation? We'll just go straight into it. All right, so my story begins, as it so often does, with those of us with lived experience within an environment as a child that orphaned me to myself. I had no skills to metabolize the sense of responsibility I silently bore in relation to my lived experience. And I think because of this, my story became one of overwhelming shame. Apart from the actual shock and trauma I suppressed in my body, the shame I experienced was so internalized that it became the very fiber of my being. Shame defines every part of me and determines how I showed up in the world in every way. So I coped by retreating into a world of imagination, and it was through this time that I discovered my inner creative. This was my first self-portrait when I was about 15 years old, which, as art does, is so revealing of my state of being at the time. In this period of my life, art and creativity became not only my solace and therapy, but my very survival. I do not know how I would have survived without the ability to journal, write songs, sing, draw, and paint. However, it was when I entered adulthood and motherhood that I resigned myself to the fact that art was not a worthy use of my time, and that as a young mother, it would be selfish or plain impossible for me to spend time painting. So I put on my brave face, which I'm sure you know takes immense energy, while internally suffocating beneath my silence. Well, this is where silence led me. Without art, I didn't realize that I had no functional way of processing emotions in my body, that my nervous system was driven by the hormones of stress, and that I had normalized wearing my brave face daily. However, now with three young children, I could no longer suppress to survive. And this lifetime of unaddressed trauma manifested as severe digestive issues, debilitating pain, a 20-kilogram weight gain, the loss of my hair, among a myriad of weird and wonderful expressions of my internal pain. Although I had normalized my experience of anxiety and panic attacks, it has been at times a struggle to function in everyday life. I show you these quite confronting pictures, and some of them I've never shown anyone, because I think that you might relate. I'm sure that the majority of us, whether we recognize the connection or not, have experienced the unique way our body has kept the score. Our body has stored and expressed undigested trauma in its own unique, individual way. But it was at one of my lowest points that I stumbled across a Brene Brown quote that in a moment turned my wound into my purpose. It said, "One day you will tell your story of how you overcame what you went through, and it will be someone else's survival guide." I knew in that moment that this journey was working for me, and one day I would be sharing how to get to the other side with others. So this is like one of those full circle moments for me. And I'm so privileged to be here today doing this. And I cannot underestimate the power of this purpose in my life and in helping me break through and getting out of that dark place. I finally sensed, as Rumi so beautifully expressed, that the wound is where the light enters you. This is when I answered my inner calling to paint again, and after a decade, I picked up the brush and painted my story. Here, my unconscious revealed itself to me, and the making of this painting became a powerful way of processing my experience of breaking my silence to the Royal Commission into institutional childhood sexual abuse, and it empowered me to speak up for the very first time to everyone in my life. Because as we know, shame breeds silence, and Tess spoke to that so beautifully before. Speaking up was the lance that slowly but surely released shame. But whether we contemplate speaking up or have spoken up, We all know what a difficult process this is. This was for me equally hard as it was rewarding. I made a conscious choice when I wrote my artist statement for this painting and entered it into a National Portrait Prize that I was choosing my hard. This was the toughest decision I had faced to that point, and there were painful repercussions, but I knew that the alternative was for me to continue to suppress my truth, not just in this way, but in every way. As I'm sure you can relate, speaking up is hard and silence is hard. I knew that if I wasn't faithful to this invitation, though, to find my voice, I would continue to hide behind my brave face and never reach my creative potential or be free to live in my full purpose. Speaking up meant I was free to live in this purpose, to return to wholeness and share this hope with others through the power of art and creativity. I finally understood the necessity of continuing to paint and honoring my inner creative. And that's exactly what I did. I painted, I wrote songs, I sang, I spoke up publicly through my lyrics, through my artist statements, through sharing the stories of others, through community events to raise awareness, and little by little, like layers of an onion peeling away, I started discovering who I was without the heavy layers of shame I had normalized. I found my authentic voice that was well buried beneath my deep need to please others and always exhaustingly be what I believed they needed me to be. I went from, as I said, not being able to function in everyday life to now being able to share with you as a survivor who is thriving for the first time in my life. I no longer deal with any major physical symptoms. I'm recovering from my hair loss, alopecia, with my hair growing back thicker than ever, with all anxiety and panic attacks finally resolved. Though this has been a 30-year journey, and I in no way want to minimize others' journeys who don't feel like thriving is a possibility right now, but I share it with the intention of offering hope. It could be possible that I have stumbled across some tools that may be helpful for others in navigating their journeys, and I'm passionate about sharing them and empowering others to return to their vision of wholeness. For me, art provides access to my voice, and today my goal is to demonstrate the power of art in my journey towards healing, to challenge your belief that you aren't an artist and give you the tools to access your voice through this powerful healing modality. I know that many of you find it hard to believe that you are an artist by design. You more than likely gave up in frustration at some early point in life and believed artist is simply something that you are not. You may have shrugged it off as an optional skill to have in life and just focused instead on what you were good at. But it is my contention that everyone is born an artist, and neglecting this over time impacts us in ways we don't even begin to appreciate or understand. We have normalized a mass alienation from our inner creative as adults. So although we feel concerned if a child seems disconnected from their creative expression and fails to show signs of thriving through happily role-playing, dancing, singing, and painting, we don't feel the same sense of loss or concern when we renounce this in our own lives. In our society, information takes precedence over imagination, and we've relegated the arts to being frivolous and unimportant. We convey this message to our children, and along the way, we have unwittingly lost what I believe to be the greatest asset to our mental health, to what creates meaning in our lives and fulfills our ultimate purpose as humans of being creators. We have suppressed our creative genius, the very thing that sets us apart as humans, which is our ability to problem solve through play, imagination, and possibility. So when NASA studied children to determine how they could hire more geniuses, they found that 98% of individuals studied as 5-year-olds exhibit genius-level creative problem-solving skills using imagination, yet tragically, just 2% of us retain this in adulthood. Still, there has not been a transformative shift in education to address this catastrophe. We still promote a convergent way of thinking and tell our children there is one right answer and they need to rote learn and regurgitate it. As we grow as children, our parents and teachers don't know how to draw and are unaware of the tragedy unfolding in our lives. They don't have the same expectation for us to keep working on our artistic skills until we've accomplished them, as is the case with literacy and numeracy. So the tragedy is that without encouragement and guidance, we begin shutting down our creativity through our own judgment and frustration when what we draw doesn't match up to what we see. We stop progressing in this skill and accept the belief that art is a talent and one that we just don't have. The great misfortune is that often this identity of non-artist sticks for life. So take a second now, just reflect on your own story. Has this tragedy played out in your life? Are you the one that says, I can only draw stick figures, or I don't have an artistic bone in my body? Or are you the small percentage of adults whose fledgling creativity survived? This is why I believe it is absolutely crucial that we protect the creativity of children and reacquaint ourselves with our inner artist. Art gently helps us process life experiences, metabolize unresolved emotions, and releases a cascade of feel-good chemicals while we do it. If I hadn't turned to art as a teenager, I would have undoubtedly sought relief in detrimental ways. Art allowed me to process what was too overwhelming for me to face cognitively. So how would you know that this skill wouldn't be a powerful healing modality in your life? How would you know whether it is the missing piece that could have saved you from seeking solace in an addiction, perhaps, or the piece that could have revealed insights to you that might save you from, say, an unhealthy relationship? I'm convinced that we underestimate the potential of this modality in our lives. If you recognize yourself in this tragedy, if something inside you felt inspired, consider the possibility that I am not some gifted artist with an elusive talent who is somehow predetermined to be a better artist than you. What if I had found this as a means of survival and with great determination have merely tried and failed many, many more times? I know still you will be questioning that you are and could be an artist, but let me show you others who have had the same beliefs and overcome them through drawing a portrait. By the way, I've never encountered one person who can sign their name that without the right guidance could not draw a portrait. So have faith. So Shane here, he was trembling as he drew his first portrait on the left. He lacked confidence in every way, and among other misfortunes, had been broken into believing that he was incapable of drawing. By the time he delivered the portrait on the right, he saw himself as someone with a passion for art and encouraged every newcomer that they had potential to be an artist too. His self-belief was transformed and he grew in confidence as he discovered a passion for art. Every individual I teach experiences a profound shift like Shane when they see the eyes they have drawn looking back at them. Something transforms internally when these individuals overcome one limiting belief, such as realizing they can, in fact, draw. They become empowered and without fail begin to overcome the other limiting beliefs they have held of themselves. Their metamorphosis to artist is irreversible, and this becomes a catalyst for personal growth and confidence in every area of life. So it is my mission to share the potential art has to also transform your life and transmute your pain through self-expression rather than through illness and suffering. My aim is to open your mind to the possibility that you are an artist and that being one is your birthright. I teach portraiture as a means of accessing a state of flow for people with unresolved trauma. Entering a state of flow through art is a total game changer for those of us who are perpetually stuck in the sympathetic nervous system that is consistently fueled by unresolved stress and trauma. It is an effective tool for entering this parasympathetic state where your imagination is accessed and you are freed from the busyness of the mind and the sensations of the body. Entering flow on a daily basis is crucial to interrupting the unconscious programs we repeat unwittingly, because until we make the unconscious conscious, it will direct our lives and we will call it fate. So I have intimately experienced the power of art and its ability to reveal the unconscious to me. I am so grateful that art and creativity helped me find my way through trauma. And because of this, it is the most treasured skill and valuable asset in my life. And I have a sneaking suspicion it could become yours too. So Ben, I'd love you to jump in here now before we move on to our drawing exercise.
Sure.
Yeah, we might just let everyone get prepared.
Sure, that's a good idea. So the materials is really just pen and paper, right?
Yeah, or a pencil, whatever's handy.
Yeah, no worries. So maybe we can have a little brief chat while
Yeah,
people
sure.
in the who are attending, of course, getting that stuff together. I really, really love. I just want to say the inclusion of the different quotations you've chucked on there. Obviously, everyone's got
Oh,
their preferred, people and historically who have shared these things, and I think they just complement that so well. We did actually have a question from the audience, and I know we're Q&A we could do at the end, but if you're okay with that,
yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
cool. So I'm just going to have to look off camera because I just don't want to crowd
Oh.
my screen here. But so Linda Wells asked, how did you escape the mind trap of thoughts and emotions? How do you move forward without family and friends? So whatever aspect of that you might want to speak to, I wonder.
Yeah, yeah. That's a really heavy, heavy situation to be in. I'm really sorry that that's, your experience. To not have family and friends, that's not really my experience. So I don't know if I can speak to that really meaningfully because there's always been some light in my life, some source of support. And yeah, for me though, I did go very internal and I did come to this place where I came to a place where I didn't need anyone in my life. And I really believed that, I just survived that way, I suppose. And that's when my imagination and my art became my thing. That was my savior.
Mm.
And I don't know, like I said, what I would have done without that. That's why I'm so passionate about helping people discover this in themselves, because I think otherwise our other options are really detrimental to us. And it's, obvious why we go to those other options. So I feel like this is something that's therapeutic and positive, and that helps us find our voice at the same time. And it also helps us build community with each other. And I'd just like to say, what was her name again?
Linda.
Linda. So, at the end of the presentation, I'm about to launch a community for women where we can feel, safe to have that support. Because I think that there's nothing more powerful than women supporting women. That's like a powerful healing modality in itself.
Mm.
So if you really, are in that place where you are alone, you're welcome to come and join and share with other women who, have a lot in common and who are on their own healing journey. So yeah, I'd love to offer that as well. But yeah, I just think that can you repeat the beginning question, the start of that question, just to make
Yeah,
sure I
yeah,
did.
just like it's really the how did. So how did you escape the thoughts and the emotions
Or
associated with those patterns
yeah.
of thinking
Well, you
through?
know what? I really just lived in my dream world. I really went into dreamland, and that's it. It's just the imagination. And I really rely on that in every aspect of my life now. I really believe in creating our story. Um, so my
Yeah.
other key note is don't let the facts get in the road of a good story. So that's
Love it.
basically the story of my life. So, when I had that big belly, when my hair fell out, all these things, it's like, no, that's not a fact that's going to get in the road of my story, of the story that I'm writing of my life. So I and that power of just knowing that I had that purpose to share these ways through for other people. I think having that aspect of like um I suppose becoming a leader in your own mind and not succumbing to the narrative that you have of being a victim, that that is also equally empowering and powerful to help us come through. And if you're just helping one other person, like just in the smallest way that you can, that's a really powerful way of us moving through the darkness as well.
Yeah.
I hope I covered that a little bit,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
yeah.
no, that was great. Yeah, I just want to double check for time. If we've got time for another question, we do.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
beautiful. Megan has asked, do you have any recommendations on how we can keep the creative geniuses in our children when the modern education system doesn't allow it? So,
Yeah,
as a matter of perspective, what can we do at home? So, what can we do to keep that spark? I know I'd probably add as well as adults. But
yeah.
children,
Yeah, and
stoking that
that is
creative
such a
genius.
great question, Megan. And I have three young children, and as I was presenting this, I'm like, what am I doing for my children? My goodness, like we need to protect this, and I just love that we are all geniuses, and it's actually a matter of just protecting the genius. So
Mm,
you actually don't have to even feel that you need to cultivate anything or introduce anything. They are geniuses, and
mm,
like I said, the education system is about convergent thinking. So I've gone to one extreme where I'm homeschooling one child, um, just to try and preserve that a little bit. But that's not for everyone. But I think that what it is just about having that in your own life and because they're going to mirror you. So we need to cultivate it and we need to value it, and be an example of that in their lives. So I find that because I sing and I do art and all of this, and my kids didn't see me do that for a long time. So I had to really make a very pointed effort to make sure that they saw me painting and drawing and saw me singing and things like that. The first time I sang publicly, after my daughter was born, she was quite a few years old and she screamed. She was like, "Where's my mother? This is crazy. Like, what is she doing?"
mm,
Um, but now I find that they just like my little girl, she'll just sing at the top of her lungs in the shower. And I'm just very careful to never shut that down. We need to allow them to do everything badly, like, and just, yeah, let them just never shut down their voice, I suppose. I just never want to shut that down. I always tell them, I just always reinforce the power of their imagination and yeah, and encourage them that way as well. But there's a million practical things we can do. There's a million drawing exercises or whatever. And I'm going to introduce one that I've developed where you can teach your children. And this is what I think is actually important, is that by the age of 10, if we don't solve the problems of perspective and proportion, we tend to get really judgmental. And that's what I'm going to say in my speech, in the rest of my speech soon. Um, and we shut down and we become critical, like I said, and then we say to ourselves, we're not an artist, I don't have that talent. So if we treat art more like literacy and numeracy, like a skill like that, and actually teach them how to solve these problems by the age of 10. Like, the cool kid who can always cartoon and stuff, and they're
yeah,
like, oh man, they're so cool, they can do this.
yeah,
If our kids get this skill and where they can actually look, like it's not just about doing abstract whatever, which is all amazing and that's just as healing. But my perspective is that if you can get people to draw something that looks back at them, that they recognize that matches up to their feeling of reality and their sense of reality, then they start seeing themselves as an artist. And I think Salvador Dali. Oh, sorry, I thought I had my phone off. Oh no, that's coming through my computer. Can't mute
mm,
that. Yeah, Salvador Dali said something to the effect of learn to paint and draw like the masters and then do whatever you like, basically. So that's my approach, is that teach everyone to do, so it looks like what they want it to look like, and then you go and be expressive. This is the launching pad for you to start telling your story and to become really expressive. But I want everyone to have this basic knowledge first. So I've created this system of drawing a portrait that everyone can do without fail. And I've ensured that everyone will have success so that they can all go, yes, I'm an artist, I have potential. And then they can start taking away the crutches that I've given them and then become expressive. So I
Beautiful.
hope that helps, Megan.
Yeah, absolutely. And so we've got more questions coming through, which is absolutely epic to
Yep.
see. We
Yep.
will pause those for a while, and it's probably great for me to now leave you back to it. Thank you.
Excellent. Okay, let's do it. So before we begin, I just want to explain that the way the brain works is so much more complex than I can convey simply. So for ease of communication, we're going to refer to the left and the right brain to describe how the brain works in relation to flow states and drawing. Although we know that this isn't necessarily the most accurate way to describe these complex processes, it works for our purposes today. So let's uncover our inner artist now. Notice how you might be feeling in your body now that I'm going to ask you to draw. For some of us, it is a sense of hopelessness that we can't succeed, a feeling of being limited, naive, and incapable. We instantly get trapped by our ego, which tells us we can't draw, so please don't even try. But this is an opportunity to overcome this today. The way we do this is to switch off the critical left brain who tries to do everything. Its job is to edit all of the incoming information and simplify visual information to easily recognizable symbols. Take a chair, for example. We instantly know it is a chair because we have memorized that it has a seat and 4 legs. When we go to draw a chair, this is what we then draw. The right brain, however, sees the world as it is, taking in perspective, proportion, color variations, texture, the values of light, every single detail. It would be too overwhelming for the brain to see the world in this way all the time, which means the left brain does the majority of the work. By engaging in an activity that quietens the critical left side of our brain, allowing the right side to take over, we access slower alpha brain waves. So we're going to do a simple exercise now that will allow you to experience the deep, satisfying observation of the right side of the brain. To do this, we simply give the left brain a job it finds too hard to do so that the right brain effortlessly takes over. Okay, so it's time to draw. We're going to do a right brain exercise called a blind drawing. If you're right-handed, you're going to take your pencil in your right hand, place it in the center of your page, turn your body away from the paper, raise your left hand, look at it, and vice versa. So just look at your hand for me for a few seconds. See it as its own universe of interesting puzzles and lines, squiggles, and irregularities. This is no longer a hand, but an unknown microcosm for you to explore. Success in this exercise is by not looking at your page. As soon as you look at your page, the left brain will take over and tell you what a terrible job you are doing. The great thing is that you don't want the drawing to look anything like a hand. The deeper the observation, the less this drawing will look like the recognizable symbol of a hand, as we see on the left here, and more like the one on the right of irrecognizable squiggles. During the exercise, I'm going to share a song I've written called We Are the Ones, Tongues of Fire. So this song speaks to today's theme and is a collective cry for healing and for using our voices for those with lived experience. I invite you to immerse yourself for the entire 3 minutes of this song, but if you finish early, you can just watch the clip and enjoy the feel-good chemicals you will have just released through experiencing a state of flow. So just to recap, you're drawing your non-dominant hand without looking at your page. Take your pencil in your hand, and we're going to take a few moments for you to deeply observe the creases and crevices of your opposite hand without looking at your page. Okay, so you got that? All right, so I can see you all giving me thumbs up. So here we go. Let's do this.
your veins. We are the ones, we are the ones, we are the ones, we are the ones, we are the ones. Tongues of fire, let it take us higher. We will rise above, speak up for love. Tongues of fire, the tongues of fire, let it take us higher. We will rise above, speak up for love. Tongues of fire. We are the ones, beautiful and far, treasures in the rain, waiting for the day with our voices up in flames, fire to your veins. We are the ones, we are the ones, we are the ones, let it take us. We are the ones, we will rise above, speak up for love. Tongues of fire, we are the ones, let it take us. We are the ones, we will rise above, speak up for love. We are the ones, let it take us. We are the ones, speak up. We are the ones.
All right. So how did you go? Do you feel like you got into that state of flow? Yeah, I can see some love hearts and beautiful emojis. And
Can I show
yes,
you mine?
yes, please, Ben, show us.
Can you see
It's
that?
all blurry, but I
Uh,
can see that you really nailed it. I can see it. It looks,
is there sort of
oh,
there?
that's oh, you
Oh
got
no,
to move
sorry.
it. You got to get it right where your face would be.
Hold on, I'm turning my blur off. Does
Okay.
that work?
Yeah, that's better. Oh, yes. Yes, Ben, look at that.
Not bad.
Awesome. We should just
Very
get like
cool.
a little gallery of everyone's stories later.
Yeah.
But
Mhm.
yeah, I hope that you felt that, that sense of altered consciousness that transports us out of our pain and our body. But
Do you
if not,
know?
yeah.
Yeah. Oh, my bad. Sorry.
I don't know.
Apologies. No, no. Please finish.
Well, I was going to say, if not, this exercise is something you can just return to over and over until you really feel you've entered that state of flow.
Mm. Yeah, I found myself looking into the depth of my hand, and I just started seeing so much wisdom, and it was like I was almost looking into the markings and the like who I am and my ancestry and the calluses and the scars and my wedding ring, and I was at my the altar with my wife getting married, and then I was my ancestors looking at me going, we're proud of you. Look at what you're doing right now. And I'm just thinking, like, this has all come from me drawing, the creases in my hand. Right. So
Yeah, it's that deep
thank you.
level of observation. Oh, such a pleasure. Thanks for like going into that so, so intentionally, and giving it a really good go because that's what's possible for us. And I feel like if you've been divorced from that in your own experience, I don't know how I would have survived. I really don't. So I hope this is just a little taste of what's possible for people. And if you liked what you experienced in this exercise, I've made a video that looks like this on YouTube where you use this blind drawing we've just done as a starting point for an abstract art piece. So
Mm,
this is one that one of my students did from his hand. And he called this stained glass heart. And it
mm,
becomes without fail a revelation of our unconscious mind. I find that everyone that does one, it is such a beautiful, beautiful reflection of who they are and their spirit and their soul. So it's just magical. So
mm.
just you can scan your QR code there if you want to and come back to it later. Otherwise, we'll make sure you have all the relevant links. But I'll give you a sec to scan that. And I just encourage you not to stop here. If you just had a little taste of that feeling, make art a part of your life and as a tool for processing trauma.
Beautiful. So we do have a couple of questions, but also the break. We're sort of scheduled for the break in about
Sure.
50 seconds. So
Okay.
I wondered, I'm going to ask you a rapid fire question, right? And answer
Sure.
in your words as possible, maybe even just words that come to mind. I recognize the power of art, but have been thwarted by people consistently devaluing my doing this. How do I put art ahead of what other people think? And what words, I wonder, Estelle, come to mind in putting art and yourself first?
Warrior. You have to become a warrior, and that's what it comes down to. And that is our most difficult journey, is in not caring what other people think about us. And that's sometimes a lifetime journey, but it is actually, you've just got to become ruthless.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I'll
Yeah.
try not to say too many words because I could
Oh,
keep
no,
going.
no, that's all right. I like you, love to express myself. And the last thing I think about is the time limit I have to do that. It's always about what I think and I feel. So we will transition to just giving you a nice little plug here, though, because I'd love people like I have having the chance to have a look into your work. Estelle has a TED Talk, as you can see here on the screen, at Facebook is a way to connect with her. Her different sort of focuses and modalities are on there as well. Highly recommend that you connect with that. And you've reminded me, thank you so much, to bring art and play back into my daily practice as a
Yeah.
way to maybe not even necessarily to heal intentionally, but to just to bring the inner Ben, the child, forward again. It's beautiful. Thank you so
Beautiful.
much, Estelle.
Oh no, such a pleasure. Thanks so much for having me. Thank you, everyone.
And you can check her out at the TEDx talk at Burley Heads, as you see in the slide here, called Art is Oxygen. It's only about a 10-minute watch. Highly, highly recommend that.
Thanks for watching. Explore more Perspectives 2024 on Finding North Network's YouTube channel. Find out more by visiting findingnorthnetwork.com.au or email info@findingnorthnetwork.com.au.